I see a road ahead. That means speed.
Awesome!
Ah, a road. Roads are usually safe.
Sure they are, Knuckles. Sure they are. Aloha, everybody. Welcome to part 6 of Sonic Boom, Rise of Lyric. In the last part, Dr. Eggman chased our heroes off a waterfall, and I guess everybody's just A-okay, because the watercraft destroyed and it washed up on this beach, and now we're going through another speed section. And like I said before, I feel like speed sections in this game only really exist because we're playing as Sonic the Hedgehog. And Sonic the Hedgehog, as a character, has been known to go really, really fast, even though Rise of Lyric isn't really about going fast. So, gotta have some speedy parts! And these parts are incredibly jank. The camera has trouble keeping up with the action most of the time. Sometimes it goes a little bit too fast that we can't react to all of the pillars that we need to dodge and jump over. And it can get a little bit obnoxious and a little bit crazy, I'm not gonna lie.
It's like these tracks were built for me.
That's one of my favorite lines in the game. I have been quoting that a lot ever since 2014. It's almost like this was built for me. But, I can say this about the speed sections. I can say that even though they're really jank and they're not like the most optimized things in the world, I've never had to get a game over on these parts, you know? I've never lost like a lot of progress playing this, and I've always just like gotten through them no problem.
That was incredible! Did you see us in action?
Yeah, you guys were a great supporting cast, thanks.
What?
I think we all contributed.
Oh, sure. I'm just saying I probably contributed a bit more.
Unbelievable.
Yes, I was, thank you.
I like when Roger goes into quiet mode sometimes with Sonic.
What is all this stuff?
Tails and I will go left, up along the ridge.
You really think you can keep up with me?
Been doing it all day.
Well, if you can't keep up, just go with them.
One of these days, I am gonna knock you out. Really. Whoa, you're definitely not at the beach anymore.
You can say that again.
Whoa, we are definitely not at the beach anymore.
Should have seen that coming.
Hey, there are things inside these things!
Oh, Knuckles. So the thing about the Boomiverse Knuckles is that he's not the guardian of the Master Emerald. He does come from Angel Island. They reference Angel Island in the show, and they do again in Fire and Ice. And apparently Mushroom Hill Zone is a thing on Angel Island, according to Fire and Ice, because they mention mushrooms. But we never really see Angel Island in the show, I don't believe, unless I'm misremembering an episode from Season 2. But Knuckles is not the guardian of the Master Emerald. He's not a loner. He's not closed off and distrusting. Instead, they just made him a really muscular meathead type character who is incredibly stupid. Like, I was making jokes about Knuckles' stupidity long before Sonic Boom was a thing. Like, I've been doing Sonic Let's Play since 2010. This thing debuted in 2014. And even in 2010, 2011, I was always making jokes about how Knuckles, well, he can be an idiot.
Shut up!
And the thing is about Boom Knuckles is, like, they just go all in on that, you know? Like, regular Knuckles, he's more gullible. He's just always falling for Eggman's tricks. He's always, like, putting himself into positions that he should know better about. But, like, he is crafty with traps. He has tricked Sonic and Tails and Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and he still has a little bit of a sense of survival instinct, and he does have a right head on his shoulders. But the Boomiverse Knuckles, no, he's just straight up, like, stupid. Comically, comedically stupid. Like, he is just one of the dumbest characters in the show, if not the dumbest character in the show. Although Orbot and Cubot give him a little bit of a run for his money sometimes, especially Cubot, because, oh boy, that yellow block head can be pretty stupid. And that's another thing. Where are Orbot and Cubot in regards to Rise of Lyric and Shattered Crystal? They're not in this game. Even though they're, like, part of the show, and they've been in since, like, the first episode. Like, the first episode aired before the game came out, and Orbot and Cubot were in that first episode. So I'm just like thinking, like, why are Orbot and Cubot not actually in Rise of Lyric? Why is Eggman by himself? Why aren't Orbot and Cubot actually hanging out in his Eggmobile? But for some reason, they're just completely omitted. They are not in Rise of Lyric whatsoever. And that feels like a big missed opportunity. You could have had Orbot and Cubot interacting with Lyric and having lots of fun there too. But they don't use them for some reason in the games other than Fire and Ice, which came out like a year later. 2 years later, actually. It came out in 2016. But, yeah, just Knuckles he's a stupid character. He's really dumb. So if I were to make the shut up joke every time he says something stupid, well, I'd be making the shut up joke like every 10 seconds. For the most part, anyway. He actually feels smarter in the game than he does in the show. Like, I feel like in the show, he's really, really, really dumb. But in the game, he's dumb on occasion, and most of the time he's actually talking very seriously, and he's being really supportive and like, bro-y with Sonic. Like, sometimes when I'm beating up enemies with Sonic and Knuckles, like, Knuckles will just say, "Oh, way to go, buddy! You're the best, Sonic!" And, like, that is so nothing like the Legacy Knuckles. That is so nothing like the original, traditional Knuckles that we all grew up with. Knuckles would not be so friendly. Knuckles would not be so celebratory of Sonic in that way. They have a bit of a rivalry going on. Knuckles has a bit of a chip on his shoulder when it comes to Sonic most of the time. But, you know, not that they aren't buds or anything, but still. It's just, you know, it's interesting because, like, when fans see the new Sonic Boom stuff, they're getting introduced to a completely different take on Sonic. They're getting completely new continuity, new personalities, new background, new everything. And so it doesn't really feel like the Sonic they grew up with and loved. Yes, Knuckles, bounce pad. Yes, I know. But, like, for the hardcore Sonic fans who are, like, always following the news about Sonic, we knew from, like, day one, when the new designs were revealed, when Rise of Lyric was revealed, that, like, traditional Sonic was not going away. That the legacy Sonic that we've all grown up with, the ones in Adventure and Generations, you know, that continuity, we knew it wasn't going away because even on day one, when the new designs were revealed, they were saying that, like, no, traditional Sonic's still going to be a thing. Sonic Boom is a different continuity that's going to be running alongside it. And if you ever saw that trailer with Takashi Iizuka of behind the scenes of Sonic Boom, he also clarified that, like, traditional Sonic was not going away. It was going to be a parallel thing. So if you're a hardcore Sonic fan, you just know that, like, okay, Boom's just a separate thing. Boom's just a spin-off. Boom is a different version of Sonic, right?
We did it!
Who brought the thunder? This guy? You said we. I heard it!
Nah, you have too much dirt in your ears.
But you did say it. I'm proud of you. That's what a good teammate would say. Ah! Whew! Oh, squishy floor.
Get off of my face!
Whoops, my bad.
Now what?
If we only had a light. Sorry I mentioned it.
But, like, for the non-hardcore Sonic fans, for the people who don't read every single interview, for the people who just, like, watch trailers and see what's going on in the world of Sonic, for them, they could look at Rise of Lyric and they could see Sonic's blue arms and Knuckles is all big and muscular and really, really stupid and everything's different about the setting and the location and the kinds of enemies we're fighting, like Lyric the Snake and all of his various snake-like robots. And they could just think to themselves, like, oh my god, this is the new continuity of Sonic. This is the new status quo of Sonic. This is going to be how Sonic is for the rest of time forever. No, they friggin' ruined Sonic. He's not even going fast anymore. He's walking around slowly. He's doing slow platforming. And this is not Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog's about going into a spin dash and going through loop-de-loops and, you know, He does technically do that in Rise of Lyric, but you know what I mean. It's about the fun, speedy, fast-paced action that makes Sonic Sonic, and I can see why people look at Rise of Lyric and they don't assume it's a spin-off. They assume it's going to be like the Crash Bandicoot series, for example. Crash Bandicoot eventually became Crash of the Titans, and that was maintaining continuity with a lot of the previous games because it was introducing Nina Cortex from Crash to Insanity, Crunch from Wrath of Cortex. So it was keeping all of the established characters, but like it radically redesigned everybody.
We hit a dead end.
Oh, if you can't solve a problem, then it must be unsolvable, right?
Well, isn't that the way it usually is? You okay?
Speed isn't always the answer. Sometimes you have to punch through a wall.
So in order to break this, switch to Knuckles.
Big deal. Maybe I loosened it.
Yeah, you keep thinking that.
Whoa, help!
I got you.
I'm slipping!
I've got you.
I can't hold on much longer!
This is not how it ends for you.
Thanks. Before falling, I felt something on my back. Did you push me?
No. Rock fell from the ceiling and hit you.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I saw the whole thing. We should keep going.
I like how this game has pre-rendered cutscenes. Like, literally, every cutscene you watch is pre-rendered. You can load them all instantly from the main menu after you beat the game. So, like, if I want to watch that cutscene over again, I can just, like, boom, instantly load it. There's no loading screens, there's no nothing. Just instantaneously happens because they're all pre-rendered. And in that pre-rendered cutscene, Knuckles, like, punches air. There's no, like, huge rock explosion. There's no crumbling rock effects. It's just, we just cut to the pre-rendered cutscene and Knuckles is punching air and all we hear are rock crushing sounds, even though there are no rocks being crushed on screen. I don't know why that cutscene was like that. I guess they didn't have enough time to finish it and to make it the way they wanted it to be, but that cutscene's a little awkward. I could totally understand why Sonic was looking like jaw-dropped, like being like, huh? Because that didn't make sense. That cutscene was weird. But like Crash Bandicoot became Crash of the Titans. It became a game where Crash was punching people. He was hijacking big mutant monsters. He had tribal tattoos and jean shorts. And Aku Aku and Uka Uka, the masks were like really like big and different. They looked so radically different from how they used to. And N-Jin was all gray and like he didn't have any color anymore. And for some reason Tiny the Tiger turned into Mike Tyson. I will eat his heart. I will eat his children. But so like Crash of the Titans was the new status quo for Crash Bandicoot because they also followed up that game with Crash Mind Over Mutant. And again, they still used tribal tattoo Crash but it was still following the continuity from the previous games, and it still had the same voice actors, and that was kind of the death cry of Crash until, like, Crash Insane Trilogy came out just recently. So, like, it's always weird when you have a franchise you really, really like, and then they change the designs, and they add some kind of new twist to the gameplay, and then it stops really feeling like the thing you grew up with and the thing you loved in the first place. So I can understand why people look at Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric not realizing that this was supposed to be a spin-off, that it's not even developed by Sonic Team, right? It's developed by Big Red Button. It's developed by a completely different developer. It's supposed to be a spin-off based off of the TV show. It's supposed to be a tie-in to the TV show. It's not supposed to replace the main continuity, but not everyone's going to see it like that. For them, this is the new Sonic. This is the new status quo. Every game past Rise of Lyric is going to be more like this. And if you liked the boost formula, if you liked the adventure games, if you liked the classic 2D Sonic, sorry, that's all over. We're just doing this from now on, which, you know, wasn't the case, but...
We gotta pull together.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of people were let down looking at this because they were like, oh my god, they just Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventured Sonic, you know? Because Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures also has a TV show. It also has a TV show, and it also had a whole bunch of games. And they completely redesigned Inky, Blinky, Pinky, and Clyde to have a lot more personality. And now Pac-Man goes to a school, and it's weird, but, you know. Not that Pac-Man had deep lore that anybody cared about before, but, you know, when you play those Pac-Man World games, it's not like Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures, so it's different, and we don't like things that are different. It's weird, it's weird. I totally understand it, I totally get it, but, yeah. I never really had high expectations for Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric going into it. Because I remember when, like, the first month or so, when they started describing how Rise of Lyric was going to play, I was reading developer interviews. They mentioned it had co-op, so, like, you could play with a friend. They mentioned that all the characters were going to have different abilities to allow them to platform through the area. Like, Amy's the only one who can go onto the pink balance beams, so she's the only one who can reach certain areas in certain levels. Knuckles is the only one who could climb the red rocks and go up the red areas. So he's the only one who could do that. And immediately, I hate to bring up the comparison again, but it always reminded me of Traveler's Tales Lego games, because it just immediately went into my head like, okay, so it's going to be a very slow-paced platformer game. Or maybe it'll be fast-paced, I don't know. But it's going to be one of those platformer games where there's lots of collectibles and there's areas to explore, and it's going to have a lot of combat and beating up robots and stuff. Like, it'll be punching stuff, and it's not really going to play like every Sonic game that's come before it. Like, that's immediately what I thought before Rise of Lyric even came out, before we even had a little bit of an idea that the quality was not going to be all that great, you know? Like, I just immediately, even when I would discuss this with Brain Scratch in their little impression videos, which you can find still on their channel if you want, but, even then, I was just like, you know, it's probably going to be okay. I don't expect the game to be the best thing in the world. I don't expect it to be Sonic Adventure 3. Because I imagine a lot of people went into this expecting Sonic Adventure 3 just because Stephen Frost, one of the developers of the game, said in an interview that it was going to be a return to a more adventure-style kind of game, which... not the best choice of words, because that just makes it sound like, oh, this is going to be Sonic Adventure 3, but in reality, he just means it's going to be more like, there's hub worlds, and you're finding collectibles, and it's just going to be a more open-world-ish kind of thing going on. Not that I call Rise of Lyric open world, it has 2 hub worlds, but, you know, most of these levels play themselves. You know what one of the problems with, like, completing Rise of Lyric and going for 100% completion, getting all the treasure chests, getting all the crowns, collecting everything that you can? There are too many point of no returns, and constantly in the gameplay, I have to switch between all of the various characters to look at multiple pathways so I could get all the collectibles. Like, you'll notice, earlier in this part, I actually had Knuckles climb a whole bunch of walls so he could pick up 2 crowns, and then I immediately switched to Sonic and went to the alternate pathway to continue with the level. And the reason I did that is because I wanted to get as many collectibles as I could, but if I kept going with Knuckles, and if I kept going all the way to the end, eventually I'd reach my destination and Sonic would just spawn in right behind me. And then I can't go to Sonic's pathway to find all of his crowns and stuff, so I would just completely have gone to a point of no return and screw myself out of collecting those crowns. And it's annoying because there's no real checkpoint, like, chapter select system with these levels. It's not like you can get to, like, the halfway point of a level. You have to go through the entire 30 minutes of an entire level if you miss a crown at the very end, if you miss a treasure chest at the very end. So, like, trying to get 100% completion for this thing is really not that fun because it's so easy to miss out on them and to just go to points of no returns where you're screwed and you can't collect them anymore. But at the same time, let me add a positive aspect to that. In order to get all the upgrades in the game from the shop, you don't need every single crown in the game. You can miss a whole bunch of crowns in this game and still get all the upgrades you want in the shop menu. And all the unlockables in the game, you get them pretty much just from beating the game. Like, all you really have to do is beat the game, and you'll get all the concept art, all the pre-rendered cutscenes, all the music from the sound test. Like, you'll still get all of the bonuses just from beating the game, just from single completion, just from one, you know, you beat the thing, you get the ending. That's it. Like, getting 100% is just bragging rights. Getting 100% is just like, oh, look what I did. And I, the Great Clement, have never gotten 100% in Rise of Lyric. I don't even bother. I don't even want to. Like, I've never bothered or pushed myself to do it just because it's so easy to miss crowns and miss treasure chests and go to points of no return that, like, it's not really satisfying to me. There was literally one instance at the very beginning of the game with Lyric's Ruins. After you bust out of Lyric's chamber and you're on the grind rail or the zip rail and you're like swinging around on the enter beam, it's so easy to miss one of the crowns that you have to like push left on the control stick in order to tilt into, in order to lean into. And if you miss it, you have to play that whole entire level all over again just to get that one crown. And there were a lot of instances like that that made me go like, you know what, I don't want to do 100% completion because I just missed this one thing and now I have to replay like 10 to 20 minutes of gameplay just to get back to it. And you know what? I got better things to do. No thanks.
Finally, what took you guys so long?
Seriously?
Isn't this place awesome? Our minecart ride was so cool. And the views. Oh gosh, yes, forgot about that. I'm pretty sure this place is a dig site for Lyric, but we haven't seen any of his bots. I mean, we almost did, but heard the sirens, and off they went before they saw us whip by.
Guys, where are we?
Whoa, hang on!
Did you see that mechanical worm?
Let Sonic say shit. Damn it, Sega. Let Sonic say shit. Hashtag let Sonic say shit. Let that trend on Twitter. But, yeah, the thing about the item completion thing is, like, the reason I'm not doing a 100% playthrough, I haven't done an actual 100% playthrough off of the Let's Play, you know? And it's just kind of annoying when you miss one little thing and then you have to backtrack, and I don't want to memorize where all these things are. It doesn't matter because I could still get all the upgrades and still finish it and whatever.
The crystal.
Finally, an easy one.
Whoa!
You just had to say something, didn't you?
Alrighty folks, this is the Driller Worm. This is a boss fight, and we're going to be seeing a lot of Driller Worms throughout the entire Sonic Boom series. There's a whole bunch of them in Shattered Crystal, and this was actually the big final tease in the very first trailer of Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric for the Wii U, because at the very end we saw this big friggin' worm, and that's how the trailer ended, and it was like, oh boy, what's that? Lyric has a whole bunch of worms looking for the crystals for him, and this one is big. This one likes to slam into the ground a whole bunch, and it always damages you if you're caught in the crossfire, so make sure you're not in front of that thing when it lands. But when it tries to do its vacuum move, when it tries to suck you guys up, which it never actually does, it never actually sucks you into it, but it's always sucking and sucking, and then you just grab all the spinner robots, you grab all the snakes, you grab whatever enemies that are near you with the enter beam, and you just like toss it into the worm's mouth, and that's how you damage it. Once it's damaged, it gets stunned, you pull it down with the enter beam, and then you just punch it in the eye a whole bunch of times, and that's pretty much the whole entire boss fight. You know, if there's anything I could say about Rise of Lyric that it does do a lot better than, say, a Traveler's Tales Lego game, is that the boss fights usually are only like 3 to 4 minutes when you know what you're doing, as opposed to a Traveler's Tales Lego game where they make most boss fights like this big, super long puzzle thing, and it just goes on for like 10 years, you know? Like, recently I just beat Lego Dimensions, and by the way, if some people have been asking, am I going to look at the Sonic DLC pack for Lego Dimensions? Yes, I am! That will be a playthrough at some point after Sonic Boom Fire and Ice, so that won't be for a while, but I am going to be looking at Lego Dimensions Sonic DLC. But, for example, in the very second or third level of Lego Dimensions, you have to fight, I think, Lex Luthor, and he's piloting some kind of machine, or it might have been Saruman. It's Lego Dimensions has a lot of characters, but it goes on forever, because first you have to, like, do this puzzle in order to get him to move over here. Then you have to do a second puzzle in order to make him move over there. And then you have to do a third puzzle to make him move over there. And these puzzles take forever, and it just goes on for like 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes. And, you know, personally, I would be bored by that so much as a kid, let alone as an adult, that, like, I just think those boss fights are done really poorly. I think Traveler's Tales does really bad stuff with the boss fights, as you'll see in the Sonic DLC, when we have to fight the Death Egg robot and all the silver and metal Sonics and stuff that show up. I feel like their boss fights are not their strong suit, but you know what? Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric, their boss fights, they're not that bad, honestly. I think they're really fun. They go by pretty quickly. How you beat them up is very clear, and you know what you're supposed to be doing. And I just wish there was a punishment for dying, that I didn't just instantly respawn with no progress lost, because I don't really feel the weight of the fight, but I think the boss fights are fine. I was fine with that fight. That made sense to me.
Hey, a crystal!
Alrighty, so now we got ourselves another crystal.
Well, there is good news. Yes, the good news is Sonic still has the map. So all we have to do is draw him out, and I know just how to do it.
So yeah, folks, that's the mines. It's pretty much just like every other level in the game. Lots of platforming, lots of combat. You've kind of seen all this before, and we'll see more of this as the game goes on. This is why the game can get pretty boring. But we are going to be exploring the hub worlds a bit next time, and we're going to be seeing the second hub world in Part 7. See you then.
Shit! 行くぞ!